Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta Adi Lila, chapter number 5, text number 84. Jagrahe Paurasham Rupam Bhagavan Mahad Adibihi Sambhutam Shodasham Kalam Adaloka Shir Prakshaya. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. In the beginning of the creation, the Lord expanded himself in the form of the Purusha incarnation, accompanied by all the ingredients of material creation. First, he created the 16 principal energies suitable for creation. This was for the purpose of manifesting the material universes. Purport. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 1. The commentary of Madhva on Srimad Bhagavatam mentions that the following 16 spiritual energies are present in the spiritual world: Shri, Bhu, Lila, Kanti, Kirti, Tushti, Gir, Pushti, Satya, Jnananjana, Jaya, Utkarshini, Vimala, Yogamaya, Prahavi, Ishana, and Anugraha. In his commentary on the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan has said that the above energies are also known by 9 names: Vimala, Utkarshini, Jnana, Kriya, Yoga, Prahavi, Satya, Ishana, and Anugraha. In the Bhagavad Sandarbha of Srila Jiva Goswami, text 117, they are described as Shri, Pushti, Gir, Kanti, Kirti, Tushti, Ila, Jaya, Vidya Vidya, Maya, Samvit, Sandhini, Hiladini, Bhakti, Murti, Vimala, Yoga, Prahavi, Ishana, Anugraha, etc. All these energies act in different spheres of the Lord's supremacy. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, today we are going to discuss about the energies of Lord Krishna. So, this a few verses we'll cover from 84 through 107, and all of them are talking about Krishna's energies and incarnations, its knowledge about that. Now, one may say, why do we want to hear that? So that we can appreciate, right? We can appreciate how great Krishna is. People generally say God is great, but we need to understand how great he is so that we can continue to develop our love for him. And also, these few verses will explain to us how this whole material creation takes place. We have learned in Bhagavad Gita that creation takes place when Krishna glances, right? His glance is required for the material creation to take place. And from Bhagavad Gita, we also understand that Krishna is a cause of all causes. Even in Brahma Samhita, where the first verse says, Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna is the cause of all causes. He is the supreme personality of Godhead, and everything comes from him. Chapter 10, Bhagavad Gita, right? Aham sarvasya prabho mataha sarvam prabha. Sarvam means all, not just this, that, or that. Everything comes from Krishna. He is the resting place of every living entity, everybody. Everything rests in him, and he is supporting everything. That is why he's called cause of all causes. But in spite of all this, he is aloof. He doesn't get affected by, whatever we do, or, whatever happens he's not affected. He is aloof. Srila Prabhupada gives nice example of a lotus flower. Lotus flower is there maybe in muddy water, right? And even if a drop of that muddy water falls on the lotus leaf, what will happen? It'll just slip away. That is the position of lotus flower. So this is how we can understand Krishna is not affected. We get affected by modes of material nature, whether it is goodness, passion, ignorance. In which mode do we operate generally? Even if there's something below ignorance. Right? Yeah. And sometimes daytime is passion. I have to do this, I have to go here, I have to earn. That passion is there. Goodness in the morning, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Exactly. Even while chanting, ignorance comes in. We start thinking, oh, I have to cook, I have to clean, I have to do this, that. So the modes, they affect us, but they do not affect Krishna because he's beyond these material qualities. That's why he's called Nirguna. Sometimes people think he doesn't have any guna. No, he doesn't have any material modes, not at all. And just like Krishna, he creates everything, but he stays aloof, he's not affected. Prabhupada gives a nice example. He says, in the prison house, there is a prisoner, and then there's the jailer, right? Who gets affected? The prisoner. Because he's the one who's done. Jailer is just in charge, making sure everything goes on fine, right? So similarly, jailer doesn't get affected by what the prisoners are doing in their cells or whatever sinful activities they've committed or whatever punishments are going on. But the jailer directs the whole prison. Okay, this kaidi, this prisoner will get, 20, what do you call, flashes, what is it called? Lashes, right? He is just directing. Similarly, Krishna is in charge of everything. He is the one who is directing, and at the same time, he is supervising also. Why is he there in our hearts? Because he has nothing else to do. He has no work. No, he's there so he can witness our activities, he can guide us, he can supervise us, and he can also show us the way. Right? Sometimes we say, something within me is telling me, something within me is telling. What is that something? If it is something within me telling me, today I should steal something from Madhavi's house, is that Krishna talking? I can say, oh, that's a super soul saying, right? So I should do that. No. If it's according to the scriptures, that guidance is coming from the super soul. So he is in charge, he is directing, and he is also he's the one who expands as Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, right? Shiva, Lord Shiva. And these three are the directors of the three modes of material nature. Lord Vishnu for
goodness.
Yes, maintenance, yes. Brahma, creation, and Shiva, destruction. Now, it is said that Lord Shiva is in charge of the mode of ignorance. That doesn't mean he is in the mode of ignorance. He is just in charge so that he can help Krishna in destruction when it is time for destruction. So Srila Prabhupada says that when we understand all this, that is called yoga. Not hot yoga, cold yoga, this yoga, that yoga. No. This is yoga, which is how to connect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when all these three are in charge, but we should understand Lord Vishnu is a controller of all the others. He doesn't come under control of anyone. And he's the one who expands as a mode of goodness. And that's why he's called Sattvatan, because he expands the quality of goodness. And he is the one who expands as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. He is the one who accepts the form of Rudra. Rudra is Brahma.
Shiva.
Good, awake. Rudra is Lord Shiva, who then, with the help of Lord Vishnu, destroys the creation. But important point to understand, Srila Prabhupada says, is creation, maintenance, and destruction, they all happen by the will of Krishna. No one can just decide, or Lord Shiva decides, oh, today I want to destroy the creation. No. They all happen due to the will of Krishna. But at the same time, we should not think, Prabhupada says, that Lord Shiva is an ordinary living entity. That is an offense. But at the same time, he is not equal to Lord Vishnu. You understand the difference? He is not an ordinary living entity. At the same time, he is not equal to Vishnu. And Krishna is also the source of knowledge of all demigods. He's witnessing everything. He has a supercomputer in which he records everything, activities of all living entities. And based on that, we face suffering or happiness. Happiness or distress, that is dependent upon us. So he is the witness. And of course, if you remember 2-3 weeks ago when we had the class, we heard a lot about the three Vishnus, right? Which are those three? Garbhodakshay Vishnu and Kshirodakshay. Three Vishnus we learn. Again, a few verses in this chapter. Again, there is knowledge about different incarnations. And this time they're talking about Kshirodakshay Vishnu. He's also known as Sattvatanu. And his expansions of Lord Vishnu, they, even though they are expansions of expansions, they still are considered to be supreme. And they don't have any connection with any material qualities. They don't get affected by the modes of material nature. So Prabhupada says we should try to understand how the creation takes place, what is the position of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, what is the position of Krishna, and also how his energies are working and how expansions are taking place. When we try to understand that, then we can progress on the spiritual path. Now, for some, it may seem very boring. What is this? Every time we are hearing the same thing, same thing. What do you think is the reason for hearing the same thing, same thing? We forget. Dull mind, exactly, we forget. So we have to hear it again and again. Like when our children were little, we used to make them read again an A for apple, A for apple. A. The child will say, okay, I got it now, but still we are after them. Why? Because we want them to remember it. That's why so much knowledge is there. We heard in Bhagavad Gita, then Srimad Bhagavatam. I think it took us 11 years to finish Bhagavatam. I mean, meeting once a week and sometimes missing some weeks. Almost 11 years. Yes, we had started in Amrita's house and I don't know when it concluded, a few years ago, I think. And now Caitanya Caritamrta is taking us forever. This chapter itself has so many verses. Today we'll complete 107. And still there are many verses to go in this chapter. Imagine so much knowledge. So our mind should be like a sponge, right? The moment you put water on the sponge, what does it do? It absorbs it. And then whenever we want to remove the water, we just squeeze and it all comes out. Like that, all that knowledge should go inside and then squeeze it when we have to preach to others. Now, not literally squeeze your head, but from your mouth, you give this knowledge to others. This is pleasing to Guru and Krishna. So, Srila Prabhupada says that just like we learned in Bhagavad Gita that when Krishna glances over material nature, the creation takes place and he does not get affected by any material qualities because of his glancing. He doesn't get. Now, if we glance at something, say a sense object, we glance at sense object, what happens?
We get agitated.
We get, yes, there is attraction, right? We get affected by these different modes. It could be passion, it could be ignorance, definitely not goodness. But if we see a picture of Krishna, then we get attracted in the mode of goodness. But that attraction happens. But here, Krishna, he doesn't get affected just because he is glancing. And even when he descends on this earthly planet, killing demons, living with the Pandavas, associating with, Draupadi or Kunti or whoever it may be, he doesn't get affected by anything that is happening around him. He is transcendental. His powers are inconceivable. What does Prabhupada say? That anything that is beyond our conception, what should we do? Forget it?
No.
Then?
Believe it. Believe it.
Leave
Believe
it? Oh,
Believe it.
believe it. I thought you said leave it. Okay.
We should know it to be representation of Krishna.
Yes, we should inquire from authority. Anything that's beyond our conception, we should go to the authority. And Srila Prabhupada is the topmost authority. He's there in his books and he is guiding us through his books. So Srila Prabhupada says Krishna is transcendental and his power is inconceivable. And even though Krishna says, I am in this material world, everything rests in me, yet I'm not situated in them. Is that confusing? It's difficult to comprehend. So it's like he is there and he's not there. He is the creator, but still he is aloof. And he doesn't get affected. And Prabhupada says that is the opulence of the Supreme Lord, not getting affected. We actually don't know how great Krishna is. It's because of mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we have got this knowledge through his purports and we can understand. We don't know how great he is. I was listening to this lecture where he was saying that when Krishna plays his flute, do you know what happens? No. Different versions.
When Krishna plays flute, then things freeze, Yamuna freezes.
Exactly. Yeah. So when Krishna plays the flute, moving, they stop. Yeah. They freeze, like Yamuna stops flowing. And non-moving, they start moving, like Govardhan Hill starts melting. Imagine. That is the power of Krishna's flute. I had also heard the moment you reach a stage of purification, totally purified, then you can even hear Krishna's flute. Isn't that a motivation to purify ourselves? To be able to reach that stage where we can hear Krishna's flute. So, this is how great he is, and we need to understand he does not get affected by any situation, any modes of material nature. And Prabhupada says pure devotees are on that stage. They don't get affected. Like the 6 Goswamis, we've heard about them, right? Each one of them, they were great personalities. I mean, they had good positions. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, good positions. Materially talking, like good jobs, they were earning a lot, they were very rich, but they were totally renounced. They were at that stage of purification. Now we are talking so much about modes of material nature, how to transcend them. First is to understand, where am I? Am I in ignorance, passion, or goodness? Or am I in the mixed modes of material nature? How do I transcend? The 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita gives us the answer, right? Modes of material nature. Mam chayo abhicharine bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samitatyatan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. This is how we transcend. There are requirements. What are the requirements? If we want that end goal, if our goal is to become free of 3 modes of material nature, then what do we do? Krishna explains, first of all, surrender. That is required, surrender. And second is, he says, fix your intelligence upon me. These are the two requirements. Then we will be able to. And Srila Prabhupada has given us a simple process, how we can surrender to Krishna. And the very first step is chant Hare Krishna. Is that correct? Good. Not just chant Hare Krishna, but chant attentively. That is where is the secret of success. Follow 4 regulative principles. Yes? No.
No, sorry.
Follow 4 regulative principles
Strictly.
strictly. Read Srila Prabhupada's books.
Regularly.
Scrutinizingly. Need to remember all this, right? Because bhakti is not casual. We have to remember. So if we follow this process with full sincerity and take shelter of Krishna, which means it is not in our hands to progress. It is in the hands of Guru and Krishna. We can make the efforts, but the end result comes from Guru and Krishna. So we can sincerely pray. Prabhupada says this process is very simple and it is very effective also. But sometimes people think there are no bells and whistles in this. What's bells and whistles? Not ting, 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 ting bell, but that means it has to be spicy. It has to be something tadakta, bhadakta, something glamorous, something, right? Then it will be very attractive. No. There was this man, he actually fell down unconscious. And when he, came back to consciousness, he said, I need to rush to the doctor. So then he found out that there's a very nice doctor, but he lives far away in a village. So he went all the way for treatment. And when he went there, he explained what happened. And that, simple village man, he said, just drink lemon juice and you'll be fine. He said, are you crazy? I fell unconscious. And I've come all the way. I heard you're the best person here for treatment. And you're telling me you have to give me some medicine, something, bells and whistles. I need something. So after persisting, no, I need some medicine. So he said, okay, wait. So he went inside, he took out lemon juice, put it in the syringe, and came and give him the injection. What to do? Same lemon juice which he was not ready to take. Then he was satisfied. I got some medicine. Hello, that was lemon juice. This is our situation, right? We want something very attractive. Something that has to, make our eyes wide and say, wow, what a great process. No, Prabhupada says it's a very simple process. Provided we take it seriously and sincerely, then the path will be easy. Because then Guru and Krishna are going to help us. So, this chapter, we are learning about Lord Nityananda Balram. If you remember, that's the title of this chapter. So, Prabhupada says that there is no difference between Krishna and Balaram. So, no difference between Lord Nityananda and Balram. There is no difference at all because Mahavishnu is the plenary part of Lord Nityananda Balram. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who is giving us all this knowledge in Sri Caitanya Caritamrta, he again starts explaining about Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And he first offers his obeisances. How do we start the class? We first offer obeisances to our Guru and the Supreme Lord. Why? Because this knowledge is coming because of their mercy. Yes or no? Right? It's because of them that we are able to speak and we are able to hear. So he's offering obeisances, first of all, to Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda Ram, he says. And Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is part of Lord Nityananda. And we have heard even in Srimad Bhagavatam, that from the navel of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu comes a lotus flower. And that lotus flower is the place where Lord Brahma takes birth, right? That's his birthplace. But then there is a stem also. The lotus has a stem. And now it's very, very dark inside. Even when Lord Brahma had gone down to see, where am I? What am I doing? Who am I? He couldn't figure out because it was all dark. So here also it says that Brahma, who's considered the engineer of the universe, and the stem is that stem of the lotus is the resting place of all the different planets. Just the stem. Visualize. Here is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and here is a stem and lotus, and in that stem are 14 planetary worlds. We cannot even imagine how big is Atlanta or even coming. Yes? Imagine all the planetary systems are within that stem. In Mahabharata, Srila Prabhupada says, it is mentioned that Pradyumna is also Aniruddha and father of Brahma. Now, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, they are identical and they are expansions of Pradyumna. Haven't we heard of who are they? Vasudev, Sankarshana, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. So they're talking about Pradyumna. That there is no difference at all. And Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is expansion of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who enters into all the universes. And Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, when that's in that stem also, he sees darkness. When he sees darkness, then he starts considering, oh, then he starts creating water. How? From his perspiration. He perspires and then there's so much water. So much water. And then half of the universe is filled with his perspiration, which is that water. Now it is mentioned, Prabhupada says that the universe measures 500 million yojanas. Length and breadth are the same. And says 1 yojana is equal to 8 miles. So 500 million yojanas. Now, after filling half of the universe with water, then what he does is within the stem. Now, before the stem, in that water, he creates his own residence. He decides to live there in that water. And then he manifests 14 planetary systems in the other half of the universe. So half is water and the other half is 14 planetary worlds. How many of you know the 7 upper planetary systems, planets? Bhu, Bhuva, Swar, Mahar, Janas, Tapas, Satya. Lower planetary systems. Now these Bhu, Bhuva, Swar are considered to be Swargaloka. And the others are considered to be Martyaloka. Now the lower planetary systems, 7 of them, which is called Patal, they are Tala, Atala, Vitala, Nitala, Talatala, Mahatala, Sutala. These are the lower planetary systems. And Prabhupada says this entire universe is called Triloka. After creating these 14 planetary systems, then Lord Vishnu, he manifested Vaikunthas as his own abode. And he rested in the waters on the bed of Sheshnag, Ananta Shesh, right? Lord Ananta Shesh. And Lord Ananta Shesh, Prabhupada says, is a divine serpent with thousands of everything. Thousands of faces, heads, eyes, hands, feet, thousands. And Lord Vishnu is resting on the bed of Ananta Shesh. So Lord Ananta Shesh is considered to be the seed of all incarnations and cause of material world. This is where the verse number 107 ends. So should we do a summary? Who would like to summarize what we heard from the beginning?
From the beginning?
Yes. That is our Kali Yuga memory. Why, y'all? Even if I have to go back to my notes to see what is there. Right? Now the question is, what do we do with all this knowledge? Store it in the head? What do we do?
Discuss.
Discuss it and share it with three people so we can, what is it called? Churn the nectar out of it, but also distribute it. This is Gita Jayanti month, right? 11th is Gita Jayanti day. Time for us to distribute this knowledge to others. It is also the day of Ekadashi, a very, very auspicious day. So we can make an effort to distribute at least the Bhagavad Gitas. We are happy with this knowledge. Why not make others also happy? Right? Does that make sense? Yes.
This knowledge also makes us get a little bit of glimpse into how great or how powerful Lord is. Just even reading, we can't even imagine, we can't even comprehend how even this material world, forget about the spiritual world. So this, the first point which you mentioned, that at least we can theoretically try to understand how great God is, even if we can't conceive it practically. But so reading this also gives a lot of
yes
appreciation into the greatness of the Lord.
Yes, and when we start chanting attentively, there'll be realization. There'll be realization because that's the next step. Otherwise, it'll just remain theory, right? So we have to, in school science subjects, I remember we used to go to the lab, and then after whatever we heard theory, we had to do some practicals to see the end result, right? Like H2O, how to get water, right? So when we practice Krishna consciousness on a daily basis, then that helps us to become self-realized. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions or comments?